degrees.
All right, that's great, man. Where about you are again?
I'm in Mississauga, Ontario.
Wow.
So 22 degrees. So let me tell you, people are itching to get outside. People are, they have to put out a warning saying that please don't jump in your cars and start going to the provincial parks. Just kind of take a walk around in your neighborhood, sort of, you know, get out and get some fresh air. You know, it's a good day and hopefully a good weekend. But as you know, the weather here can change in 24 hours.
Wow.
But it's a beautiful day out today.
Now that's awesome. And let me take the time to welcome everybody. Guys, we're just gonna wait 2 more minutes and then we're gonna start. Okay. So welcome everybody, but just give me because we have quite a few guys. We have 200 coaches signed up. So just giving guys a chance to come on.
Okay.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lafukan.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Curtis, Coach Curtis, yeah. Good afternoon to our guests. Not too bad.
Thanks for taking the time to come on.
It's a pleasure.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dion Lafukan.
Good afternoon. That was Stefan. Stefan, I'm guessing that's Stefan. Stefan, you have to help me.
Help you in what?
Good day, Mr.
Stefan Defoe.
Good day, Mr. Defoe.
Mr. Defoe. Good day, Mr. Defoe. I just saw Stefan, sorry.
Okay.
We have 200 guys on, so you have to forgive me. I don't have all the names.
All right, no problem.
Good afternoon, Dion. Derek King.
Good afternoon, Mr. Derek King. How are you, sir?
Good, good.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah. Good afternoon, Mr. Dion.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome, you guys. Welcome.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Dion.
Good afternoon, Earl. Good afternoon, sir. Coach Earl Jar.
Yeah, Dion, we also just joined by Mr. Patrice Charles.
Okay, Mr. Patrice Charles is there. Okay, fine. Okay.
Afternoon, Dion, Marvin Gordon.
Good afternoon, Marvin. Glad to have you, buddy.
Yeah.
Coach Dion.
Speaking, go ahead.
Saying good afternoon.
Oh, pleasant afternoon. I wasn't sure who that was. A pleasant afternoon.
Sheldon Bowen.
Hi, Sheldon. Good afternoon, buddy.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. Ryan Stewart from Tobago.
Oh, well done. Tobago in the house.
Yeah, man. Blessed love.
Blessed love. Blessed love.
Afternoon, Dion. Coach Devnish.
Good afternoon, Coach Devnish. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Mr. Dion. Coach Bernard Allen from Tobago. We met a couple of years ago in one of the earlier digital Kickstart programs.
Welcome, Coach Bernard. Glad to have Tobago in the house. Glad to have Tobago in the house.
Good day, Derek Wilson. Coach
Good day,
Wilson.
Mr. Derek Wilson. Glad to have you, buddy.
We were just joined by Mr. Kyron Serrett from Sport Company.
Okay, great. Okay.
Afternoon, Denise. Welcome.
Good afternoon, Denise.
Greetings, Dion, and everyone. Brian Williams.
Hey, Brian Williams. What's up, buddy? Great to see you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Great to see you. We have some history in the room, man. The strike squad.
yeah, man.
Good afternoon to everybody.
Good afternoon. I sound like Tasha. Good afternoon, Tasha.
Good afternoon, everybody. Guy and Neptune, Point 14.
Good afternoon, Point 14. This starting to sound like a radio program.
Hey, a blessed good day to everyone. This is Coach Dada from Trendsetter Hawks.
Welcome, Coach Dada. Glad to have you. Glad to have you.
Pleasant good day, everyone. This is Coach Sidano from Valiant Football. Thank you all for having me.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming. Thank you for coming, Coach. Glad to have you.
Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna do 1 more minute and then we're gonna start. So I know Miss Knott is a stickler for time. 20 seconds, and then we're gonna start.
Hey, good day.
Good day, sir. Good day.
Awesome, Dion. Remind everyone regarding the mic.
Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
The mics.
Yes, we will. Don't worry, we will.
Feedback here. All right, thanks, Dion.
Okay. So good afternoon.
Dion, you went on mute.
Okay. Okay, I'm good now. You can hear me. Welcome, everybody. On behalf of the Trent Tobago Football Association, I'd like to welcome everybody on this very, very informative coaching seminar. It's the first of many. And we have quite a few especially invited guests, along with the coaches. And I will introduce the especially invited guests, and some of them will be saying a few words. So first, I'm going to ask Mr. Tobias Otley, who is the head of the high performance unit of the sports company of Trent Tobago. Mr. Otley, welcome. Can you give us a few opening remarks, please?
Good afternoon, everyone signed on. Glad to see everybody in. It's definitely a pleasure to see so many persons logged on. It's my pleasure to bring greetings on behalf of the sport company of Trent Tobago. This initiative is something that we are definitely glad to see happen and be a part of, as part of our mission to see the high performance, the entire sporting ecosystem grow. We can't only look at improving the quality of the athletes that we all work with or support, but we also have to grow the administrators, the technical staff, and everybody that's involved in the entire framework. Hence, the title of everybody in definitely jumped out to us at Sport Company. And we're glad to see that the TTFA is growing to continue the series to make sure that we have discourse, we have education, that we have knowledge sharing, to allow everybody involved to continue to expand their knowledge base and their experience and their input, so that we could then grow the game in Trent Tobago. So again, thank you very much for inviting us, Dion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Otley, and your words are well taken. Thank you very, very much. Next, I'm going to ask Mrs. Annette Knott, the Secretary General of the Trent Tobago Olympic Committee, to say a few open remarks.
Thank you, Dion, and thank you for the TTFA for inviting me to say a few words to so many of these coaches. I look through the participants list, and so many of the names have become familiar to me because the TTOC ran a number of courses last year. And I have to say that I was so pleasantly surprised that so many of the football coaches were keen for the information. They inundated us with, when's your next, etc. So I think it's wonderful that you're doing this series. Of course, everybody knows all the negatives of the pandemic, but this is one of the opportunities for us to be able not only to have somebody like John from the LFC Academy, but also to be able to have so many people coming on from all parts of Trinidad and Tobago, as well as parts of the world. I'm also here sitting in Tobago, being able to address you, which is something that would not have been so easy had it not been for us now taking advantage of Zoom. Everybody in is so important. As Tobias has just said, it's not just about the athletes, but the entourage that surrounds them. And I think as we move forward, we all will take this opportunity to raise our game and to ensure that what we offer our athletes in the future is not what we just experienced in the past, but all the knowledge that we can gain going forward. We know that every day we can learn something. And so I'm looking forward to this series and to being part and listening in to the many academy, the experts that you will have over the time, and so that you will be able to get as much knowledge as you can. Lots of people with experience on, like Brian, but I'm sure he would tell you every day you learn something. So thanks for inviting me. The TTOC totally supports this. Education is very much part of what we are also doing. And so, yes, we support the entourage. And so the TTFA, great job. We're looking forward to this. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Knott. And let me take the time also on behalf of everybody to thank the Olympic Committee, Trinidad and Tobago Olympic Committee, for what you have done in helping us as coaches. So we want to thank you very much. You guys have done tremendous work and you continue to do tremendous work. We thank you very much. So next I'm going to ask our newly appointed member of the Trinidad and Tobago FIFA Normalization Committee, Mr. Nicholas Gomez, to say a few words.
Thank you, Dion, and good afternoon, everybody. It's such an honor and pleasure to be on here with you all. Just from a personal perspective, I grew up playing football and cricket, but cricket was my passion. And through the journey of playing cricket nationally, just to say how important the coaches that supported and shaped my cricketing life and contributed to my own personal and professional development over the years, how significant you guys are in contributing to people and to our development. And so just a big up for you guys for all that you do for people of Trinidad and Tobago, players of Trinidad and Tobago, and all those in the ecosystem. So big up to you guys for your contribution and your continued efforts to support youth development, personal development, and by extension, professional development. Dion, thank you for what you have done to bring this together, and to John for taking the time to be with us, to share your great wisdom and insight. We are so grateful to have you on. So we will absolutely consume all that you share with us. And for those that interact and through this session, we are grateful for the information that you share. And let's work together to improve what we have in Trinidad and Tobago, the national sporting arena and the ecosystem. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Gomez. And again, welcome on board. Thank you very much. Next, I'm going to ask Mr. Nigel Romano, member of the Trinidad and Tobago FIFA Normalization Committee, to say a few words, please.
Thank you, Dion, and congratulations to you and your team for organizing this very important intervention. I'm reminded that it takes a village, so I really like the everybody in theme. Coaches are critical, and the right coaches can inspire players to new heights, and of course teams to new levels of performance. As part of our commitment in the Normalization Committee, as we told the Minister of Sport, our commitment is to football today and football future. We want to put football on a solid foundation for building the next generation while supporting the current players. And I really hope that this learning and growth initiative is going to continue, because as a former speaker said, there is always something new to learn, something new to help us to become better. we need also to ensure, and that's part of the commitment of the normalization committee, that our resources are used as efficiently and effectively as possible to support the players and the coaches and the teams, as opposed to the ancillary, let's call them overheads for want of a better word. So congratulations on this. John, thank you. I just watched Liverpool play. I didn't see the result at the end, but as I said, good luck and thank you for taking the time to do this. Dion, over to you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Romano. And I would like to acknowledge Mr. Karen Serrett, the advisor to the Minister of Sport. Mr. Serrett, thank you for making your for coming also, and also Mr. Patrice Charles from the Ministry of Sport, Assistant Director of Sport. We want to thank you for being on the call also. So now that we got some of the formalities out of the way, I would like to turn the floor over to our guest speaker, Mr. John Owens, former Academy Director of the Liverpool Academy. John, welcome.
Thank you, Dion. Thank you, guys, and everybody. It's a pleasure to be involved, and hopefully this is just one of lots of other things that your coaches get involved with. I'm going to go through a particular PowerPoint that I have, and I'll describe it as I go through. Essentially, at our academy, we had around 20 coaches working with teams, and it was all boys. So if sometimes I say he for the player, I do apologize to those of you that have girls teams. I've worked with girls teams as well, but I probably will use the word he more than I will she, but that's just habit. But please allow me that one. So out of the 20 coaches, of course, they're all different, and that's good. They've got different personalities, different sense of humor sometimes, different experiences. But what we wanted was to try and get some consistency. Now, this was not to turn them into robots. We didn't want 20 all the same. It's good when players, young players, move from one coach to another. But the content, the football content, the soccer content, we wanted there to be some consistency. And so I went through this decision tree with everybody. And also I did it with my older players, 16 and above. You will find sometimes players surprise you. You think it'll be too mathematical or something for players, but they actually do take it in. So let me just go through. Hopefully this will work. If not, I will get, there we go. Okay, hopefully you can see. So this was way, way back in 1978, I see there. I went to do my A license, which is now, it was called the full badge. I was part of the Professional Footballers Association. So there were 64 of us on the course. And it just shows you, they all turned up thinking that because they played at a professional level, that they would pass the coaching course. It didn't happen. Only 8 of us passed. Some of them were big stars from clubs that are now Premiership teams. Some had played for the national teams, but they didn't necessarily make good managers or good coaches. Okay, so I looked at all the content and these principles of play, and I thought, okay, I need to put it together in one diagram. Now, the diagram may be something you will look at and go, oh no, what is this? This is, unfortunately, guys, how my brain works. I'm sorry. But I did find that putting it together in this shape to be the attacking and the defending principles and go through it as a decision process, it helped when I was talking to the coaches. And also, like I say, when I was coaching the players. So the picture you see in the middle, that's the poster that was in the reception hall at the downstairs of the academy. So as we come out the changing room with the players, I would talk to them in front of this and I'd say, okay, last week we did this work, and I'd point to where we were working. And now I say, we're moving it on to this one. So they would have some reference to, it wasn't just, oh, another session that John's doing. they could see that it was part of a plan. Now, I mentioned as well, many visitors have come and taken photos. I've given them copies. There'll be a copy of the final page for everybody today. Dion has that, and Yale to send to you. And hopefully you'll then have a bit more time to understand it and look at it. And I hope it will be useful. It has found its place in different places. And I mentioned at the very bottom there, the diagram found its way into the Croatian FA handbook. Someone showed me that. Also on some coaching websites and in some books. Even some of our past managers, Brendan now at Leicester, it's in one of his books, I hear. But okay, I'm not worried. I'm happy that he finds it useful. Okay, so when we're looking at the coaching session planning, I go with the coaches to say we go somewhere between easy through to difficult. Now, we don't want to start too easy. If you've got some good players who've already mastered certain things, don't go too easy because they'll get bored. You also, though, mustn't go too difficult because then you lose your players. You're looking for that area where you know how good they are, where they've mastered certain things, and you want to take them just that little bit past there and challenge them. And okay, some of the practices, then we start from simple ones through to complex. So simple ones, 1v1 through to bigger numbers, okay, when it gets more like team play eventually, but not too quickly with the younger players because then you lose them. And general to specific. So general might be some defensive aspects. Specific might be you then go and work on a session with a fullback. And that's more specific with the touchline there and a winger. And you can be working from the general ideas, but then you give them into specific ideas for their position and their job. Okay, this one, 3 areas. First one, master the ball. I want all players, not just the fancy midfield players. I want all players to be in charge of the ball. And that means lots of practice with a ball each. So they all get good touch. They get that. Dominate the opponent. So initially 1v1. So you want to be able to feel that any player, and I think so many players in the Premiership now, it drives me crazy when I see them 1v1. And they don't take the player on, and they're pretty good at it. I want them to challenge the player and have a go. And okay, and then we're getting to this big area of making the correct decisions. In that one, I want to say this is a crucial area for me. And sometimes it's an area as coaches we forget, particularly the kind of coaches that I have seen. We didn't have them at Liverpool, thankfully, but I have seen coaches who we call joystick coaches because they look to try and control everything that every player does during a game. They don't stop talking and shouting and giving instructions. Some of them are good, but the problem with the player is they want to make the decisions. And so what I'm saying is, if like we want players to make good contact when they're kicking the ball, we practice. If we want them to be good on 1v1s and dribbling past or understand tactics, we practice. But my point is, how often do we let players practice their decision making? And I think this is an area that I felt was missing. So I wanted to go into this. Okay, there's the final diagram. Now you probably look at it and go, oh my God, it's so complicated. But really, I'm going to work you through this. The first question, of course, is your team in possession? So if it's yes, and it goes to the left of the diagram, that's all the attacking side. So we have in green, the actual principles: create space, width, depth, width in attack, depth in attack, and so on. If the answer is no, your team isn't in possession, then we go to the defending side, the right side of the diagram. And again, there are in green, things like denying space, recover, and so on. All these terms that we as coaches talk about, particularly when we're doing courses. But I wanted us in our group of 20 coaches at Liverpool to use the same language with each other and with the players. And so getting through this, it often felt like on the field, I had players playing for my team who kind of thought a bit like me. And that meant there's more chance then that they're going to make decisions that I would make. Okay, now I don't mind if they make a different decision, fine. They can practice that and get on with it. Sometimes a different decision might be better than the one I was thinking. That's okay. But they understood how the game fitted together. So I'm going to go back to the start. Is your team in possession? And now the question is, has your team, this is the defending side, the right-hand side of the diagram. I'm doing defending first. And I'm saying, has your team just lost possession? The emphasis on just. So you've been attacking and now you've just lost possession. And of course it happens lots and lots of times in the game. This is the transition side. So we're going from attacking, now we have lost possession and it's only just happened. So that will mean that we will be spread. We will have players wide. We'll have players stretching forwards. There'll be lots of space for our players, hopefully, to have attacked in. But we've just lost possession. And so therefore, there's lots of space now for the opposition. So have we just lost possession? Yes. Then this is the transition from attack to defense. We need to deny space because that space that we had ready for our attacks is now helpful to the opposition. So we have to close that space. So we're looking to deny space. That's a whole area. Recover, that means getting back into position, not being stretched wide and forward and long. And that means we get compact as a group. Okay, so there's 3 areas of the first point once we've just lost possession. If the answer is no, we haven't just lost possession. So we lost possession a bit ago, so the opposition have had the ball for a bit. So that means I then ask, are you the nearest defender? The nearest one to where the ball is? So this is where we go from. If it's yes, now here's a crucial question. And this is one some players forget about unless you stress it for them. You're the nearest defender and we've lost possession, the opposition have it. Are you outnumbered? Now, if it's yes, then if you go chasing the ball because of your keenness to get it back, you might just get it, but most of the time against a good team, they will just play it around you and all your effort is wasted. So what we need to say is if you're outnumbered, we need some time to get other players in our team to help. Other players to form a better compact defense. So we need a bit of time. So that means we need to delay. So what we want to try and stop in this moment is a fast counter-attack. Now, if we rush to that player, he might then play it past you and then they're near our goal and they're on their way to producing a counter-attack. What we want, if you imagine one of your strikers loses the ball, they play it to the fullback, then what I want, if we're outnumbered, is for the player to go and see if they can get in the way of where the player wants to pass, but encourage the player not to pass quickly, but to go sideways or even backwards. It'd be great if he passed it back to the goalkeeper. And then we get a bit more time for our players to get into good positions. If we're not outnumbered, then yeah, let's go and put the press on. Let's go and put press, first player, next player, and we then close down and we might well win the ball back near their goal. And of course, the high press is a big issue we see on television with the Premier League teams, Liverpool particularly under Jurgen Klopp. It's a high press. But the first question, when it was yes, we're outnumbered, we don't want Mohamed Salah to go rushing to win the ball back if he hasn't got the other players in tune with him to maybe help him, because otherwise he'll just waste his effort. So are you outnumbered? Yes, then we delay. If it's no, then we go and press with that. Okay? Are you the nearest defender? If the answer is no, so someone else is. Someone else has that decision that we just talked about before, about being outnumbered, whether we delay or press. So are you the nearest defender? No. Now we're asking, are you close to the ball? So are you near the area where the ball is? If it's yes, then you give cover and support to the player who's ahead of you, the nearest player. So you might be the second defender or the third one who then gives some cover to that player who's putting pressure on, and you support that player who's the first line of defense. If you're not close to the ball, you might be well across the other side of the field or much deeper, then you're looking to have some depth to the team and some balance. Balance as in we're not all on one side of the field, we're spaced out to block any space that there is. So the depth and the balance, one of the things I have with our first team at the moment at Liverpool is we put pressure on, we then push out as a defending line, and we leave a lot of space behind us. So there isn't much depth to our team, and a long ball through too often for me catches us out. So that's where we need to say, great, put the pressure on, front players, the midfield players, back up into that space in between in the midfield area. But the back players, you are pushing forward, but you're also looking at the space you're leaving behind to make sure that you're not caught out by just a long through pass. So that's the picture that forms the right-hand side of the diagram, which covers the principles of play for defending. Denying space, recover, get compact. Delay in defense, pressure, cover in defense, support in defense, depth in defense, and balance in defense. So that, of course, is the picture I see, and I got my coaches to work on that. Getting it to the players, then I want the coaches to realize how they build this up through their sessions, and they won't be the same session necessarily with every coach because they've got different age groups. They've got different players at different levels, different abilities. So they have to make it, like we said on that first chart, from easy to difficult. So where do they play it? But the actual topic comes from this. If they're defending, then the defending topics are there somewhere. Okay, I'm going to go to the other side of the diagram, the attacking side. And here the question is, we have possession, so we're attacking, our team is attacking. Has your team just gained possession? So this means that you've been defending and now you've won the ball back. Maybe a mistake, maybe a poor pass from the opposition, maybe we've pressed and tackled and won the ball. So we've just gained the ball. Have we just gained it? Yes. Then we've been in a defensive shape, so everybody will be compact. So if we don't watch out, we need to be able to pass attacking wise, threatening. Otherwise, we'll end up with the ball back at our goalkeeper because nobody else is available. So we need to create space, and we do that with creating width and depth. So the width is side to side. So we want players to push out, and we want players in depth. We want players at the forwards to look to go forward, to watch for offside, of course. We know we don't want to give the ball away with a simple offside issue, but it also could be that players drop deeper to offer for a pass. So this is the transition from defending to attacking. We've just won the ball back, and now from a defensive shape, we want to now create space, create width and depth so that we can give opportunities for passes. Suppose it's no. The team, we haven't just gained possession, we've had possession for a while. Okay, do you have the ball? Are you the player on the team with the ball? We're attacking, do you have the ball? If the answer is yes, then here's another question. Can play be direct, i.e. forward? I don't mean direct as in a long pass necessarily, but what I want to stress is if you can make the attack move forward towards their goal with a short pass, a long pass, a medium pass, whatever, or you can actually dribble, you can go yourself. So can play be direct? Can play go forward? If that's the case, then you're looking to penetrate. And by penetrate, I mean, can you shoot? Are scoring opportunities available? Can you dribble and be threatening? Can you cross the ball? Can you pass it forward? All those things when you think about it, penetration means that we are looking to hurt the opposition with our next pass, whether it's a shot, a cross, whatever it might be. But the idea is that it's on. We don't want to just kick it forward if play can't go forward. We have to ask that question. Can we play forward? If so, yes, we look to penetrate. If it's no, then we don't want to play a silly pass that we know doesn't have much chance of being successful. So we keep possession. And this, on the final picture you'll see, involves pass and move. So sometimes it's giving the ball to someone else on your team. It may well be, because you can't go forward, it may well be sideways or backwards, but the backwards pass, although it might sound negative, might open up the channel for someone else to pass forward. So it's not negative. It's just making sure that you've made your decision that I can't pass it forward, but I can give the ball to someone else on my team, a good pass sideways, backwards, and then they might well be able to hurt the opposition with their play, passing, dribbling, whatever it might be. If we go back to the question, do you have the ball? The answer is no. So someone else on your team has the ball. Can that player pass it forward? Can he run forward? Can the play be direct forward? If the answer is yes, then he needs you to help him with the attack. That means to get ahead of him. And that's where mobility comes in. So we want strikers, players ahead of the ball, or those who can get ahead of the ball to get forward. So the player on your team who has possession has some opportunities. If he has no opportunities, it's easy for the opposition to know that we just close him down because no one else is helping him. If he only has one option, then again, it's too easy for the defending team to block that option. So we want a number of options forward for this player on our team. And if you want to be involved in that, can you make a move forward? So mobility means movement ahead of the ball, offering the chance for the player in your team to pass to you, or maybe your mobility might move defenders away for him to dribble forward into space. So the mobility is one of the principles of play in that situation. If we go back to the question, can play be direct? Can it go forward? If the answer is no, so the player on the ball has someone in the opposition right in front of him and he's unable to then play it forward. So you then need support for that player. And again, the support might well be sideways and backwards, but it's not negative because it's the right decision. It's to go sideways or backwards to someone on your team who's free, and they will be available then to look forward, either to pass it forward, maybe to shoot, maybe to cross, maybe to go and dribble. But it comes from your decision to say it can't go forward and we're going to need support behind or sideways. So that's the picture, and that comes together in this whole one page. And you can see in some of the boxes, penetration, I put scoring, shoot, dribble, cross, pass and move in another. The mobility at the bottom on the left. Forward runs, support ahead of the ball, okay? Support behind the ball. So support in attack. If we can get it going forward, great, because we'll be more threatening to the opposition, and that's what we want. That's the diagram that Dion will be able, and Yale will be able to send to you after today. And like I say, I know that me as a mathematician, that's simple to me. That's how I think. Sad as it might seem, that's how I think. But it helped me to put all these things into one diagram. And I actually used it to help my coaches and in fact help my players. And those words in green, they're not my words. I haven't got, this is not my language as such. This is football's terms. So whichever country you go to, football, soccer, that's what you're playing. All I've done is put it into a diagram that came from me, but the content essentially is in any coaching book that you want to involve with. Now, I get back to the sort of main point I want to make about decision making is that we practice techniques. We practice in teams, in little moves. We practice free kicks, corners, whatever they might be, shooting, lots and lots of practice. But what I sometimes fear is that we don't, with the players, give them time to practice their decision making. And when they try and they make a wrong decision, let's not get on top of them. Let's not knock them down, particularly in front of their teammates. We have to say, right, you had a go at that. Okay, why didn't it work? Yeah, okay, that was really why. What might be a better solution? And so you're then helping them to make the decision, a better decision next time, rather than just, oh, that was rubbish. You know, sometimes I fear when I see some coaches. I saw one and he was sat in one of those chairs, the fold-away chairs that have 2 places for drinks, and he had 2 cans of beer. This wasn't in England, by the way. It certainly wasn't at Liverpool. And he's shouting at the team. Oh my God, he hardly shut up. He was giving them all sorts of instructions. And seriously, these were 10-year-old girls. And I just thought, wow, I need to talk with you for a while, because he wasn't helping. Now, okay, I'm not saying we've got too many coaches like that. I think this helps in all ways. Okay, now, I've just got 2 tasks, Dion, for them to think about. Should I go on to them now?
Yes, John, sure. So what we're going to do, guys, is we're going to put you in some breakout rooms, and John is going to give you a task to do, and he tell you how he wants the task to be done. So, John, please tell them the task, please.
Okay, so let me just kill that for a minute and go to, here are the 2 tasks. Can you see them now?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm looking to say, have you got one of your sessions where you feel you have given players the opportunity to make their own decisions? So what you've set up allows them to decide some things. It's not set out for them with every move ahead planned for them. You do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. But you've set up a practice where they know what they're aiming for, but how they get there, you kind of leave them to find their own way a little bit. Okay, now eventually you can't spend forever like that. I understand that you then go in and give them some hints, because that's part of your coaching job as a guide. You're giving them guidance to get better, and you don't want to wait weeks and weeks before the penny drops. So that's the first task. Have you got a session where you feel you've had a session with your team and you have given them the opportunity to make their own decisions? Task 2 is to look, have you got a favorite coaching session, and how could you adapt it and your methods to allow players to have more opportunities to make their own decisions? And like I say, if you do give them chance, that's when the coaching comes in, that you guide them, you help them. You don't nail them for making a bad decision. It'll happen. It happens to all of us. When we're learning anything, we get things wrong. And what you do about players who make mistakes is you don't jump on their back. You actually then look to help them. And that's what I'm after there. So there's a couple of ideas to just chew over, to talk through and see how it works for you. Because, of course, I'm talking to a screen here, and out there, like I know, all you coaches have got different issues with your players, different age groups, different levels, boys, girls, whatever it might be. And some that train once a week, some that train 3 times a week. So it's all a different job of coaching, but essentially the same element is there. How do we get that player to be a little bit better at the end of the session? And this is one thing I say to my coaches when I'm doing coach education for the FA. If you imagine 32 players in front of you, and suppose you've got a full field, suppose half of those players go and play 8v8 on one half of the field, say for 30 minutes. They've got a free game for half an hour, 8v8 on a half a pitch, goals at each side. On the other half of the field is your coaching session, and you've got a theme, a plan. Now, my question is, at the end of that half hour, are the players that have been with you, are they further along their journey of learning than the others who've just played a game? And the answer must be yes. We can't have it that 16 players have come to you as a coach and you've worked for 30 minutes and that's not better than the other 16 having an 8v8 game. That would be too simple. So the answer, of course, is yes. And then we look at why. Why is it yes? And it's because I've planned the session. This is where they are. This is where I want to get them to. So I'm going to edge them towards getting a bit better, not too much, not too far. I don't want to have under 10s working on something that the under 16s haven't mastered. We've got to be careful that we know what we've got, what age group they are, what level they are, and we move them a little bit further for their age group and for their ability. And we tease them a bit by challenging them. We don't want to make it so that it's just easy. It's not, we don't just have the practice so it's something they can do. We want to stretch it a little bit. And so the fact that they're working with you at the end of the session, when they go home, they'll know they've improved. That's the point. And that's why they'll come back. They want to play the game. Of course they do. They'd much rather say play 8v8, give them a bit of that at the end. And you tease them with guidance, with coaching and games, and it's all in one big mix. Okay, but my point, if you like, is about players having an opportunity to make their own decisions. Guys, that's lecture over. Sorry if I've bounced on a bit too much, Dion.
No problem at all. So, John, so they're going to do task 1 first and then come back, and then they'll go back into do task 2.
Okay, yeah.
All right, so task 1, you guys are going to be in the breakout room, and you're going to have 10 minutes to discuss among yourself, and we will have somebody from the group please lead, right? Somebody from the group please lead, and you guys, so Yale is going to put you into a breakout room, a random breakout room. Yale, go ahead, please.
All right, everyone, just join the breakout rooms as soon as you get the prompts too.
mind to, because we do a lot of I do a lot of, you know, basic drills, and I direct their feet, their mind, everything into one drill. So I can't see that I have allowed them to make decisions. So I am really astonished that I need to really at some stage introduce this. But to say that I have done it, no, because I am literally guiding to what I know.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. I know before John speaks, I was in the room. I was in two rooms actually, but the room that I was in, lots of discussion, and I felt very, very happy to hear the coaches discuss the game among themselves. I just want to commend you guys for that. It was really, 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 really interesting hearing the coaches discussing the game in a very, very nice way with each other. So, John, over to you. Sorry.
No, okay. I just can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Anything that gets us as coaches sharing ideas and probing, should we go this way, should we go that way, that helps. It's not that there's one answer, because of course if there was one answer, everybody in the league would be doing it and we'd all look the same. So there's different ways to do these things and different ideas, and that's great. In a sense, what I'm after is not particularly, it has to be one type of session, but generally it's so that we don't, as coaches, lay out exactly what the player has to do, bit by bit. Every little part of the move, every little part of everything else is set by the coach. That's far too directed for me. And I just want more of an open way of a session to say, here's what we want to achieve, and give the players the opportunity to try and find out an answer. Try and find the way that they think they can achieve what the coach has set as the target. The target of the session, the target of the little move, whatever it might be. And then, of course, if they're not moving the right way, then you start to give a bit of guidance as the coach and you help them. But rather than be like a dictator, telling them it has to be this, this, and this, I think particularly with attacking play I see more as like an art, whereas science is more like defending is like a science. This is the best way to have a wall or defend corners or whatever. But attacking wise, I like to see players come up with more of their own ideas. For instance, I don't believe that Manchester City players follow everything that they've done in coaching. I think they've got their own ideas because they're top players. You know, you see the players trying things. Raheem Sterling, he'll do things that maybe Pep Guardiola has helped him with, but he's also adding to it. And I think that's what helps players help each other. So it'll be interesting to see what the coaches think.
Okay, so John, let's hear from room 3. Let's hear from room 3.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. My name is Jason Bourne, and I was asked to share the conversation from room 3. What we spoke about was the idea of doing the practice and then the application, which was simply we're going to use different crossing techniques. So we would have had guys probably in pairs, and they'll be passing to each other using the inside of the foot, using laces, putting some turn on the ball, these different skills. What we would do as far as the application is concerned is now create a grid, probably like a 20 by 30, where you would have one line of players. You split your players in 2. You put one line center of the area, and then you have another line that's going to be along the byline. What you do now, you create 3 squares forward of the guys that are on the byline. So let's say you have a green square, a red square, and a yellow square. When the ball comes from the center and onto the player who's in front, because they're taking turns, to the players that's in front, their first touch is to try to allow the ball to settle as comfortably as it can in the first square. Because of where the first square is, it requires a specific type of technique to get the ball across to the required point. So let's say, for example, you're now required to use the inside of the foot and put some turn on it for the ball to get to where it's supposed to end up. When the second ball, or you practice that for a while, then on the second phase, the ball comes from the middle again, and then the touch for the person on the byline now pushes the ball into the second square, which will now require a different type of technique, which means you might need to have a driven cross across the ground, you know, a diagonal ball. And then the third one, of course, will just be going as far down the line as possible into that third square. And then now it's a lofted cross into the area. So then the skill or the decision-making process now will be for us to now, because we practice that for a while. When the ball comes from the middle and the player takes the touch, based on where the touch and the ball ends up, they have to now apply the required technique to get the ball to where you want it to go. Now, what we want to see is that the player is now choosing the technique they use based on, and not just the technique, but in terms of allowing the ball to stop in the colored square to facilitate that technique. So it's a decision they're making as a conscious decision. So we're not telling them as coaches which box for the ball to end up in. But whatever box it ends up in, they apply the required technique to get the ball over. And then the progression from that would be now to have targets on different places where now we can have the crossers try to hit or have the ball end up in those specific predetermined areas. And the player has to show, and we can tell from the body language, of course, and then the person can also say, well, okay, I'm going into this particular area or delivering the ball into this particular area, right? And then to incorporate the scoring aspect of things, we set up a goal where the guys that's in the middle of the park, after you distribute the ball out wide, that person runs onto one of those particular areas where the cross has to come in, and they now attempt to finish. So there's the progression in terms of just the technique into the delivery, and then we incorporate the finishing at the end.
Okay.
Hello?
Yes, John, go ahead, sorry.
No, Dion, I like the idea we're giving players different options, different challenges. And what might come out of this is, yes, they might see, a player might see a certain option that would be good, but maybe technically they're not ready for that. And this brings out for the coach and the player, I need to work on that. So they're seeing something, they're not just playing at the level they are, they're seeing how to get better. And maybe a better thing might be in the different boxes. It's a challenge to them. And there might be one of those things that they can't do so well. And so we know now, let's work on that, but it's a good decision. So the coach will say, yes, that is a good idea, but we need to work on the technique now. And it all comes together, that the technique work fits in with the play, and then obviously you eventually get it into team play.
Okay, thank you very much, John and Jason. Can we have group 9? Group 9, somebody represent from group 9, please.
Hi, Gede. Ayana Russell here, representing group 9. Hearing me?
Yes, Ayana, well done. Well done, my dear. Continue.
Well, basically, we kept it simple. We started with in a 2v1 situation in a 20 by 30 field with 4 goals. Basically, we'll be working more on the defensive side of things, giving the players the opportunity to make the decision 2v1. So the defender would have to decide, am I going to, just give the pass and make it more difficult for me, or am I going to cut the angles, and make it more into a 1v1 situation? But obviously, we're not going to come out and just coach that. We're going to allow them to, make their decisions, and then we introduce our adjustments as we go along. After a while, we build up to 2v2, straight all the way up to 4v4, where, more decisions will be allowed to make on the defensive side. Even though we're not coaching the attacking side, there's also a lot of decisions to be made on the attacking side also. Am I going to take the space starting from the 2v1? Am I going to take the space moving forward, or am I going to use my supporting players? So there are many decisions that could be made in that area, leading up from the 2v1 all the way up to the 4v4 situation. And as Mr. Owens was saying before, not overly coaching, but allowing the players to make decisions. So that to us, that was one of the simplest ways to just allow players to make decisions, whether you're coaching, attacking, or defending.
John, you can go. Go ahead, John.
Yeah, great. Thank you, Ayana. And you don't have to call me Mr. Owens just because I'm so old. John will do. John's good. No, I like the idea that, yeah, you're thinking it through, that there's different options for things, different possibilities. And once they have chance to make these decisions, like you say, then they'll pick out what they are capable of, as well as what works for them and their team. It's a good idea that you've got with your group about putting them into the attacking play, like you said. So well done.
Let's do one more group. Let's do group one. Group one. Does somebody want to represent group one?
Yeah, hi, Dion.
Hi.
Angus here.
Hi, Angus. Welcome, buddy.
I think we're a group one, yeah. John, it was really good for us to see the chat that you had. I think it's brilliant, the way you broke it down. And we decided to go, we had a U18 side, and we wanted to use 40 by 60 grid with 2 goals with a 5v5 session, and allowing the group to play in a transitional session so we can see the decision making going forward and see the decision making coming in defense. And we would have, the coaches allow them to play and only nip in when we see that, you know, after we look at the decisions that they would make on defense and offense, then we would give guidance as we go along. And then that will take us into when we start to work on the strategy that the team would want to play. We know the principles that the players already have would have been gained at that age level, so that we can implement it in our formation and the way that we wanted to play as a group.
Okay, yeah, good, Angus. As players are getting older, as you get older, it's good that they play more and they get coached more in the game, because they're able to transfer it to the big game. So it can be in a small-sided game, as opposed to in grids maybe for the younger ones. So the younger ones tend to need it shaped a bit more, but still allow them to make decisions. The older ones, the more and more you can get your session to be happening in a game, it's more real, and it'll be an easier transfer then to the big game of the 11v11. So good.
Thank you very much. Let me just take the time before we go on to the other question to acknowledge our senior national men's coach, Coach Terry Fenwick. Thank you for joining us on this call. Thank you very much, Terry. So also now we're going to go to John. Can you just say the second question again so we can go back into a breakout room? Can you say the second question again, please?
Yeah, okay. It's very similar. It's just still looking for the coach to pick out one particular favorite session that they might have. And instead of directing every bit, how could they change their method a little? How could they change the session somewhat to allow for the decision making we talked about? It could be individual play, it could be team play. Like for instance, if the topic was working on creating an overlap. So we can show them one way to do it, or we can put them in a situation to say, we want to end up with a cross here. How can you go about doing it? And it's if you like, hoping that the coaches give the players enough time to have a go at it rather than direct everything. So the question would be, think about a favorite session that you have and how might you incorporate some more decision making for the players in that session. Not a game, a proper, like a more of a focused session.
Okay, thank you, John. So EL, go ahead, please. So it's going to be random breakout rooms again.
Alan here. I agree with the small-sided games as well, and just for one thing as well, because as I mentioned earlier, you know, you're either coaching the defensive side or the attacking side, and I coach more the 14s go down, and of course, when you do the small-sided games and if you're coaching one side, you tend to have less instructions. And to me, the plus side of that is when you switch it around, which side of attacking or defending, while you coach one side, let's say you're coaching the attacking side, when the defensive side becomes the attacking side, then one of the great things in decision-making, I think, is observation. And so let's see if you have to correct them with the same things that the first attacking side made, or do they observe what was happening and then they adapt to that as well. That's my contribution, guys.
Yeah, Marlon, that was good, bro. Anybody else in the group?
Thank you.
Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Welcome back. Right, so we're going to go with room 2, right? Room 2. Can we have somebody from room 2?
Yeah, guys, good day.
Hi, Jefferson. Good day. We can hear you. Right, Jefferson, you're coming across broken up. So maybe you can speak, but just take off the video. Yeah, you're still coming across broken up. So can you take off your video and Jefferson, can you hear me?
Yes, sure. And then it was multiple opportunities where it just allowed them to play more. Patrick cannot come out that far.
Jefferson, can you hear me? Okay, we'll come back to room 2. Let's do room 5. Let's do room 5.
Right, Dion, are you hearing me?
Yes, go ahead, please.
Okay, so Peter Pierre, good afternoon, everyone again. We decided to go with a possession game under 23 players. Good. So after our warm-ups, good, after the warm-up, we go into a 6v6 game, a possession game. Now this possession game, one team will be in bibs, the other in shirts. And this possession game takes place on a 60x40 grid, 60 long, 40 wide, and will encompass 3 goals. 3 on top for the opposing team, 3 at the bottom for the attacking team. Now, of the 6 players, we're going to divide the 6 players as such. For the attacking team, 1 player is going to go into the top, the middle of the top 3 goals on the opposition side. Okay? Whilst the other 2 players remain at the bottom, at the corners in our half. Good, so that leaves us with 3 players inside of the 60x40 grid. And then the same for the opposing team. You all understand what's going on so far? So 1 player is on top, giving us depth in attack, and 2 players are supporting at the bottom goals. 1 to the left, 1 to the right. So that's 3 players of 6. Okay? So for the purposes of this video now, we're gonna just say X versus O's. So the whole purpose of the game is to keep the ball, keep possession of the ball. Sorry, before we get to that, the players are given the idea of what the game consists of, and then they're allowed to play freely, okay? So the idea of the game is to keep possession, whether in going forward directly or keeping possession with the 3 players plus the other 2 that we have down at the bottom in our half, okay? One of the requirements simply is when one team is in possession and is successful in hitting the target in the middle goal, that player, the passer replaces the receiver, and the receiver comes out with the ball to continue keeping possession. Either going directly in attack to the 2 players he has in possession now down at our end, or going back to the player who is in a defensive role and switching the players again. So you all understand that? I'm not too sure if it's properly articulated, but we get the idea. So it's a constant movement. Anybody who passes the ball to a player inside any of the goals, right? That player is replaced by the passer. So if I am X and I am coming forward and I play to my player up top, and that player collects the ball, I replace that player who has collected the ball. That player now comes out with the ball and tries to keep possession as part of the 3 that are in the middle of the 60x40 grid, or using the players who are the flanks at the goals at the ends.
Yeah, can I just say, okay, this is John.
Yes, John.
I like the idea of it's in a game and you've set up some rules for the game, some targets, and the way to play. And then within that, each player can then make the decision as to what to do. And that's where they're getting the practice. And also once they change position, when they move and change position, it offers them a different set of problems. And they have to solve it with their teammates. And of course, on a proper weekend game, that is the game. Solve the game with your teammates. And players can help each other as well as you make your own decisions. Your teammates help you with theirs as well. So, yeah, good. Well done.
On behalf of Group 5, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Peter. Thank you, John. So let's, Jefferson, can you hear me? Somebody want to talk from Group 2? Jefferson, are you there still? Or can we have a representative from Group 2, another representative from Group 2? Okay, so can we have a representative from Group 10?
Yeah, hello, good afternoon. Coach Patterson here from Group 10.
Hi,
you
buddy.
Me?
Yes, we are.
All right, so we have a specific exercise. It's on the 19 group session that we're running. It's in a 60 by 40 grid. It's basically 3v2 with a progression ending up in 3v3. What we are doing is basically we are having the kids run a game situation where you have the options of scoring, penetration passes. What we basically want to do is we're going to give the extra defender that is coming on, which we're going to make it 3v3, a decision to make if he's going to cover, if he's going to pressure, or if he's going to balance the defensive side of the game. Bearing in mind the objective is, but we want to see the decisions that the guys are going to make, basically how they're going to penetrate pass, how they're going to overlap run, how they're going to cross, how they're going to defend, how they're going to cover, how they're going to balance, and how they're going to pressure. And we basically want to see as well, most important, how it's going to transition from defense to attack and attack to defense.
Okay, can I come in there? Well done, Delroy. I like that one because you're looking for a way to break down a principle in a small-sided game, and they get the opportunity. They get the opportunities to make decisions and get it right and work on that. And then the next stage after that for your team would be to say, how do I get those ideas? Now I've got them, understanding what's happening there and making the right decisions, or most of the time the right decisions. How do I then take that to the big game? So it's nice that you've broken it down to something that's manageable. And then we can then take it to the big game and see it happening on the weekend game and so on. So yeah, they're making those decisions. They're getting more right. And they're taking it to the 11-a-side game.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We'll just, I know time is running out, so we'll do one more group, and I'm going to call on Group 8. I'll do Group 8, please. Do we have somebody from Group 8?
Yes, good evening. On behalf of Group 8, our session was based on width in possession. So we using the same 3v3 plus 2 in a 30 by 20 grid. 3 players inside, 2 neutral players, 1 on either side of the session. where the idea is to promote the wide using of the wide players. So we put them in, we allow them to play, use the wide players as the neutral players to maintain possession. Yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, I can come in there, please. Yeah, because that's got such flexibility for the players to then have their decisions to make. It's not do this, do that. It's working on what works for them. So they'll get practice at making decisions, seeing if it works or not, how well it works, and then they can choose to keep trying the better options. So that's good. Of course, the whole thing like this, Dion, is we have your coaches in rooms, supposedly. Of course, they're all separate. And it's much easier for coaching and for coach education if we could all be together. So eventually one day we'll find a way of meeting halfway. I don't know where is halfway between Liverpool and Trinidad. Maybe on a boat somewhere, I don't know, Greenland. But yeah, I like the idea, of course. Guys, if we were all together in the same big room, obviously we would get through the same stuff and it would be a little bit easier. But I like the way you guys are discussing things and coming up with ideas, even though you're not together. It's good.
Thank you very much, John. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Mrs. Knott to say a few closing remarks, right? So Ms. Knott to say a few closing remarks, and also I'm going to have Mr. Gomez to say a few closing remarks on behalf of the Normalization Committee. So, and then I'll give you guys a little bit of house rules because we have another club next week, and I'll tell you guys that information after Mrs. Knott and Mr. Gomez speaks.
Thank you, Dion, and thanks to John for a very great session. I have to say that it's, as John says, it's not as easy, but still, even in the breakout rooms, obviously the guys were having their discussions, and so congratulations to them for still having that stimulating conversation, talking, using their imagery skills, getting their grids working, etc., etc. Really happy to see that so many people on the call, so many coaches on the call, and therefore that means that everybody is in. And I'm looking forward to the other sessions, and great job, well done, keep it up, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Knott. And can we have Mr. Nicholas Gomez to say a few words on behalf of the Normalization Committee? Or Mr. Romano, if Mr. Romano is still on. No problem at all. So I'm gonna put Mr. Tobias Otley. Mr. Tobias Otley, can you say a few words, please?
Just like to echo Mrs. Knott's sentiments in terms of, you know, well done to everyone. It was definitely interesting to hear the discussions, at least in the group that I was in. I always believe that sharing of information, thoughts, and ideas, which incidentally is directly linked to what we did this morning that was covered by John in terms of decision making. Expanding our inputs is definitely what's going to make us better as coaches, administrators, and so on. So very good job to TTFA. Definitely look forward to the continuation of the series. And Sport Company are definitely going to be here supporting where we can. I like Ms. Knott with TTOC. We recognize some of the coaches who would have attended some of our workshops. I was messaging our sports psychology team on the side because decision making is definitely a topic that they cover, and they would have appreciated the content. Especially as one of our sports psychologists is a huge Liverpool fan. So again, well done to everyone. These are the platforms that we need. We need to encourage information sharing, not information hoarding. And I look forward to the continuation again. So have a very good Saturday, everyone. And we'll be in touch.
Thank you very much, Mr. Otley. Thank you very, very much. And John, please, can you say a few parting words to us, please?
Yeah, of course. In this crazy lockdown situation, I mentioned that, you know, we're stuck with Zoom and so on, but we can still get some ideas and some thoughts through. It might sound strange, but I have worked on Zoom with a girls' team in California. Each of the girls had their computer on their driveway and the ball at their feet. There was just one ball for each player. There was no 1v1, no bigger group. And I was able to work with them. It was kind of weird, to be honest. I have worked with that group on the field, and it's much simpler. But it doesn't mean because we can't do that, that everything has to stop. And it just shows the ingenuity of all of us to get together in this way. And hopefully that some ideas that I've thrown out have sowed a seed that will help you think a bit more about this and about that and improve you as a coach. And obviously then the end result is to improve your players. That's what we're after. So good luck with it. And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you very much, John. And let me say to the audience, John has agreed to do 5 sessions with us, but it's not going to be 5 consecutive, because we're going to mix it up a bit. So next week we're going to have one of the education officers from Aston Villa, from the academy, is going to be on next week, and that's at 1 o'clock also. And we will ask you guys just for next week again we will send out a new link for you guys to register again, because we have to send this onto the instructors. We have to send your stuff onto the instructors. And as we move along, we will come up with a way where you can register for 3 or 4 sessions at one time, or 5 sessions, 4 or 5 sessions at one time, because this is going to be ongoing. We have many clubs already interested in helping us, academy directors. We may bring get some other premiership coaches involved, some guys from Spain. So we do have a lot of stuff going on. So thank you very, very much on behalf of the Trent Tobago Football Association. It has been our pleasure. And I'm going to echo what Mrs. Knott and Mr. Tobias said. It's everybody in. This is about everybody. Let me also make special mention to the Coaches Association of Trent Tobago. I want to thank you guys for coming on. And it's a great thing that you are doing. We need our coaches working together. So again, thank you for everybody. Great to have you here. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Dion. Thank you, John.
Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Ms. Knott.
Bye.
Thank you.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody.
Bye, goodbye. So I am going to try to find out exactly.